Mike, how was Wisconsin? Did you have a good time out there in Madison?
It was very cool. It's a great college town, and the weather was tremendous for October. Wisconsin is generally a pretty cold climate. When the weather's like that, that's got to be one of the best places to live in America. However, if the weather was like that 10 months out of the year, there'd be 800,000 people living there instead of 200,000, and then all bets are off. But, we had a great time out there, and obviously an unbelievable performance by Penn State.
Unbelievable performance. We want to get to talking about that. But the big question I have is, how was the Wisconsin band?
The Wisconsin band had a lot of energy, considering how downtrodden they've been of late.
They party a little bit too much in Wisconsin. The band was suspended the previous week, so wasn't sure if they play a factor in this game or not. They had a little hazing incident.
Alcohol and sexual-related hazing.
Interesting.
Draw your own conclusions, America.
We could do a show just on that, maybe.
Yikes.
We digress. Penn State, I think, played really well against Wisconsin. They have struggled out there in previous times.
Sure.
And I was a little worried about this game, especially with the band back. I thought that might play a factor.
The band, people are very, very amused by the band. It would have been zombie-like atmosphere out there if not for the band once the game got out of hand.
And this game they were up 17-0, and then Wisconsin scores, starts making this a game. And I think two factors: one, Derek Williams sort of shut it down, and then the defense was stifling and got a couple turnovers, knocked the ball away from the quarterback.
Yeah, their defense was. I thought this was their best performance. They're developing some young playmakers. Aaron Mabin, this kid, a young defensive lineman who now tied for the lead in the country in sacks. Is a guy who really flies around. Navarro Bowman, same thing. Guys who can really make plays. The defense has gotten better considering the personnel injuries, suspensions, etc. that they've had on their defense. It's incredible what they've been able to do. I do these grades after every game, as you know, Starkey, because you put the thing together. And offense, defense, special teams, coaching. This is the first time since I've been covering Penn State that I gave all A's. It's the first time I even came close to doing that. And there's no way I could not have. I looked at each one of those segments, and there's no way I could not have given them all A's. Consider me impressed. I really am impressed with what Penn State's done.
And some people were worried that this could be a game that they could lose. Looking ahead, Michigan, Ohio State playing. Wisconsin had not lost.
I mean, they clearly regarded it as
Wisconsin doesn't lose 3 games in a row. That's what just happened, and they don't lose 2 at home, and that happened. It was their worst loss since. It goes back a long way.
It goes back.
I did read
certainly their worst home loss in a long time.
Time. So let's look ahead now. Michigan, who had their worst loss since 2 years before Bo Schembechler, which is back to like 1967, they lose to Toledo. Holy Toledo.
We just got off the press conference with Joe before we came down here to tape the show, and Joe is forget about that. Forget about Toledo. Apparently he feels that was not Michigan's real team. They just had a terrible game. Michigan still they're 2-4. They're really reeling. They're a reeling program right now. They have a new coach, Rich Rodriguez, who wants to play a style that they probably don't have the personnel to play because he didn't recruit these people. It's hard for me to imagine that Michigan is going to be able to come up with the kind of effort that they need, the way they're reeling right now, to go on the road and compete with Penn State. They've beaten Penn State 9 times in a row. I think that fact alone kind of prohibits a big letdown on Penn State's part. It's hard to believe that this one won't be ugly.
We talked about this going in before we started doing this show. We need the senior. Penn State needs the seniors like Derek Williams to remind the underclassmen, hey, these guys have beaten us 9 times in a row. We don't care about Toledo. Like Joe was saying, you need to come out and be motivated and really take it to them. This is our chance to get some redemption.
And some of the Penn State kids this morning in their conference calls said that Joe talked about with them in the locker room after the game, which he doesn't normally do. He doesn't normally get into next week's opponent right after the game before we even took our showers. He talked about that with them right away.
Anything jump out at you as far as looking ahead to this matchup? What do you think? Penn State, who's a key player, or anything like that?
Well, I think Penn State is going to be able to throw the ball. I think so. So you're going to look at Jordan Norwood, you're going to look at Deion Butler, you're going to look at Derek Williams, and you're going to look at Darryl Clark, who has been their MVP and arguably one of the MVPs in the country. He's just been a terrific quarterback, and he's 7 career starts. That's all he's had.
That's all he's had.
And he really looks like he understands what he's doing out there. Michigan does a lot of 3-man fronts. in passing situations. I'm not a big fan of that approach. So I think Penn State will be able to move the ball.